And we are live for yet another Sunday Satoshi. Welcome back, folks. I'm your host, Colby Noe, and joining me today is regular guest Ben, the madman himself. Ben, thanks for joining me. Appreciate you.
Good to be here. Excited for the conversation and the news. Excited to be in a beautiful new location. I don't know if anybody can see the Whitecap Mountains out there. And if you don't recognize me, that's because I've had a beard every other time we've done the show. So this is uh, this is what my face looks like.
Hell yeah, dude! You'll have to bring back the mustache because mustaches are proof of work in my humble opinion.
I've been told that before. Apparently, a mustache is a respectable piece of facial hair compared to the rest.
Let's go. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, folks. The U.S. government is selling Bitcoin, and boom, we got audio confirmed. We had to work out some technical difficulties. Appreciate you, Tatum Turnup. Appreciate you for helping us out there. Um, so yeah, the U.S. government selling Bitcoin. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? We will talk about that in just a moment. While the U.S. Gov, while Big Brother Uncle Sam is selling Bitcoin, of course, Giga Chad Michael Saylor is stacking coins. He's stacking hundreds of millions of sats at a time as he does. So MicroStrategy adding to their war chest of Bitcoin. Do you love to see it? Some people don't love to see it. And
I love.
and yeah, just a lot going on. So, but Ben, you mentioned that you're in a new location. Exciting things happening. Last week we missed you. What's going on, brother man?
Well, I thanks to your generous coordination with this other man out here in Colorado, you guys managed to or Dane decided to offer me a job, and so I'll get to out here in beautiful Denver, north of Denver, Longmont. I'd rather stay away from the dense city with the the crazy screecher people and stuff like that. But up here, closer to the mountains and closer to the Bitcoin mine that I've invested a little bit in, and you've invested quite a bit in, and looking forward to getting hands on with that, learning the mining business, learning the technicalities, and getting a few little more hash power going myself.
Let's go, dude. Exciting times. So yeah, that's is that what you've been doing for? Is that why we missed you last week?
Last week, I was actually returning from a Young Americans for Liberty conference in Virginia Beach, and
Did you orange pill
really
anybody out
between
there?
I orange pilled one guy real hard, and I think I orange pilled him so hard that he wants to come on the show at some point and said he was going to start running a node in his off campus housing at Frostburg State University in Maryland. But shout out to Jack Liparini, cool guy on Twitter and Instagram. Um, but yeah, just super excited to be here between that Young Americans for Liberty conference and starting to read or listen to the audiobook, The Sovereign Individual. Those things have really started to shift my perspective. And, I've decided that, being emotional, being angry about like politics, like I have been for most of my adult life, is just a waste of time. And there's better things in life to focus on,
I hear that.
like building something beautiful for the future, for the future of my family, and good smart people everywhere.
Dude,
But
bro.
one quote from the conference that was my absolute favorite. It said, "Learn to be effective in chaos and wise in anger," and that really stuck with me because I feel like anger is an emotion that takes a lot of people, and it's almost impossible to be rational when you're and calculated when you're angry and being
Mm,
controlled by emotion.
mm.
And but if you can be wise and control your anger, or get rid of that and learn to react in a more proper way, you can learn to be effective even while people are potentially losing their minds around you.
I hear you, bro. A lot of people are losing their minds these days, and it's good to have some certainty in a world so filled with chaos. And
Right.
Bitcoin is certainty in a world filled with chaos in many ways. So yeah, dude,
Also,
it's
happy Resurrection Day.
yeah, amen. Um,
Shout out to our Lord and Savior.
Word. But yeah, dude, lots going on. It sounds like lots going on, and
Mhm.
and I'm looking forward to diving into it. Uh, so yeah, it's you mentioned like politics and blah 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 and like people getting angry and all that. Um, and again, like it's nice to have Bitcoin, which is apolitical. It's above
Right.
politics. It's greater than politics. It's technology that is out of the control of any group of human beings as such. Um, and we really do need to rise above our petty political squabbles and all that. Um, so yeah, that resonates
Amen.
with me for
Time to
sure.
time to transcend to the information age, and and leave the dysfunctional systems of the past where they belong, in the past.
Yeah, and you mentioned the sovereign individual. That book blew my mind as well. Like just talking about how it is the information age, and you know, few people would disagree with you if you were to say, "Are we in the information age?" But that hasn't really set in. I don't think that's set in for most people. I know it certainly hadn't set in for me because how
Right.
that changes everything is
Hmm.
something that's um, it's just mind blowing to think of how it does really change everything. We're evolving from the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, and now information is moving faster than human beings. So I'm stoked to be coming to you guys here. Did I even mention when we're getting started, by the way? We're getting started at block number 784, 694. And yeah, we got a show for you today, folks. We got a show for you. Let's have a little sip of whatever beverage is in your chalice, your mug, warm or cold, whatever.
Cheers.
I'm sipping on a Bundaberg over here, a Bitcoin Bundaberg.
Nice. Yep. Just
Ah,
got some coffee from this nice little coffee shop on the edge of town here,
nice, very nice.
and they have fast Wi-Fi.
Let's go fast Wi-Fi. So, yeah, dude. I mean, what else? We could go on and on about politics. It's like super refreshing to me that Bitcoin is. To me, it is kind of like the answer to being politics being a waste of time for the most part. Generally speaking, I would much rather invest my time and energy in a technology that is promising for the future of humanity instead of depending on politician A or politician B on the red team or the blue team, which is really just one team. I'd rather bet on
Right.
technological advancement and sound money. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The only way to win in the political game is just to choose not to play, and I think at this point, and to choose to invest your time and energy and talent and resources into the technology of the future, which is being led by Bitcoin.
Yeah, and people need hope. You know, we keep coming back to this same point, which is people need hope. And the reason people are angry and they feel disenchanted or disaffected in large part is because they are, right? People generally, a lot of people are left behind by our corrupt political and economic systems. So,
Right. People have
oh,
people have a good reason to be to be frustrated or to feel the way they feel, but most people just don't understand why that is, and most people definitely don't understand what the way forward should be. And I feel like that's something that I feel like I've realized in the last particularly in the last week or two.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say in just in the last week or two, right? Because you've been investing in, more and more in the political process and whatnot, and
Mm-hmm.
and there's been a divergence where you're starting to realize that, or it seems to me like you've been starting to realize that that's kind of a waste of time. But speak for yourself,
Yeah,
right? Don't let me.
I still see some value. There is a coalition in some levels of politics that truly just wants freedom for everybody, but for the most part, red team, blue team are just you know they're grifters. They're screeching. They don't have effective solutions, and the people that claim to have solutions a lot of times are just out there lying to get your vote and attention when you could vote economically to make the world a better place.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about the government and how they're selling bitcoins. Apparently, they have a big fat stockpile of Silk Road Bitcoin that they've had for quite some time now. So, just last week,
Mm-hmm.
they sold nearly 10,000 Bitcoin, which is worth it at present value of 215, just under 216 million US dollars worth of Bitcoin coming to market, and they still have quite a bit more. They've got over 41,400 Bitcoins yet to be sold. It will be sold, and they're selling these Bitcoins on the open market. They have previously offered these seized Bitcoins in auctions, which is kind of interesting to see. I actually looked at these auctions online, and it was funny to see Bitcoins being auctioned on the on the federal government auction site where they sell off, whatever, drug dealers,
Yeah.
Humvees or whatever, or just random stuff that they have seized or whatever. So we could talk about civil asset forfeiture, but let's try not to go down rabbit holes. But
Sure.
then again, I'm happy to go down rabbit holes if you want to. But basically, Ross Ulbright is still locked up for a crime of no violence. Meanwhile, Sam Bankman-Fried is walking around still. I think he's chilling by his parents' pool up at Stanford. He's out on the largest bail ever, and seems to me like he pretty clearly scammed everybody at FTX and Alameda. But he's not getting the same treatment as Ross Ulbright. So perhaps a double standard.
Not
Again,
only,
political connection. What do you think, Ben?
first off, not only did Ross Ulbright, not commit any violence on anybody, he didn't even, wasn't even trying to scam or, steal from anybody. All he did was try to provide an open marketplace for, free digital transaction on the internet for people to use as they, as they choose with their free will and agency. And, personally, I think that's a good thing. I think, the creator of the world we live in thinks that was a good thing, which is why we have free will. And, obviously, people that appreciate Bitcoin appreciate freedom and agency as well. I think,
It's craziness.
it does go to show.
Do you think there's a bit of a
Yeah, I
double
mean, Sam
standard?
Bank.
You think there's a bit of a double standard with SBF just chilling, and he's out on the biggest bail ever. I think he got out on the biggest bail ever in recorded history, and he's also been tampering with contacting He's been contacting potential witnesses, and he's been using encrypted messaging and VPNs, which are against his bond, his terms of being released on bond. So it's interesting to look at how, the Silk. It's interesting to look at how the alleged Dread Pirate Roberts and whom is Ross Albright allegedly, or whatever. I'm not sure if that's indisputable at this point, but a clear double standard, if I can say so myself.
Yeah, I totally agree. I almost feel like it's not even, it's worse than a double standard. I don't know what term could apply better, but it's one thing to punish somebody and not punish somebody else for the same thing. It's another thing to punish somebody who didn't do anything wrong,
It's
that I would
politics,
think most
baby.
people would agree with, versus not punishing somebody who did everything wrong. So yeah, that's pretty disgusting. As far as the government selling Bitcoin, I think that's pretty interesting. I think you could point out positives and negatives to that. Positives, obviously, being more Bitcoin on the market for for free individuals to acquire,
Or for MicroStrategy to acquire. We're gonna get to that next.
Right. Right. I'd like to be able to. I'd like to be able to move as much assets as Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy can. That's some big boy moves right there for sure.
They own one out of every 150 bitcoins that will ever be in existence.
Wow. Yeah, that's like $13 billion right now. Just think what that might be in a couple years.
Checks notes. They hold 140,000 BTC, and
I think it said like 12.6 billion is the current valuation of their Bitcoin holdings in dollars.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's at today's value, right? I don't think, obviously, they're short fiat and they're long Bitcoin.
I also wonder, like, when the government sells that, is that an attempt to like delegitimize it or smash the price by expanding the momentary supply?
Well, I don't know, but they are selling it, not all at once, right? And,
right, that's interesting too.
And that leads me to a couple points before we move on. One point is I read this interesting piece in the Blockware Intelligence newsletter, and this kind of puts it in perspective as far as, like, you think, okay, well, the U.S. government sold nearly 10,000 Bitcoin, and you think, oh, that's massive. They're just, they're dumping a huge amount of Bitcoin onto the market, and that's going to cause, price to go down and liquidity issues on the buy side. But when you put it in perspective, perhaps that's not so much the case, because as I read in this newsletter, so the U.S. government has sold and will continue to sell Bitcoin that was confiscated from Silk Road. They plan to sell 41,500 Bitcoin over the remaining course of this year, which is equating to about 150 BTC per day for the rest of the year. And so, check this out. Exchange inflows over the past month have been equivalent to 37,000 Bitcoin per day. So put that in perspective. Right now, it's the exchange inflows, and I'm going to try and share my screen real quick. The exchange inflows, I'm not sure if that's coming through.
What does that mean, exchange inflows?
So Bitcoin that is going on to exchanges.
So the immediate Bitcoin that's being added?
It's Bitcoin that it's going to
37,000 per day.
Correct. So I'm not sure if y'all can see my
That
whole
seems
screen.
like an incredible number.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a bigger number, isn't it? So, it's I'm quoting from the newsletter. It's reasonable to assume exchange inflows is sell pressure because there's no valid reason to send Bitcoin to an exchange unless you intend to sell it. Therefore, 150 Bitcoins, which is what the U.S. government is selling on average per day, is a mere 0.4% of additional daily sell pressure. So, again, 0.4% of exchange inflow is what the U.S. government's selling. So, put it in perspective. It's not the biggest deal, not the end of the world. To be fair, us Bitcoiners want the cheap sats, so bring it on and dump the coins, right? But
right. Also, another perspective point. I just added the math, and as far as mining goes, another 1,500 Bitcoins per day is what's coming out of the mining portion of the Bitcoin network. So
I think
that's interesting as well.
How many? What was your number again?
I got 1,500. I did 6.25 times 10 or times 6 times 24.
I think you're right. It's 900. Yeah, it's 900 a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, initially I was thinking 150 a day. That almost matches the mining output, but doing the math, that's obviously not quite correct.
And it's going to be, we're 1 year away from the halving, approximately. So that 900 number is going to be 450 in short time. So brace yourselves. The halving is coming, folks. The halving is coming.
Right. It's the Boromir meme. He's leaning on the sword.
I don't think y'all are ready. I don't think y'all are ready for it. I know I'm not ready for it because I don't have enough hash online and I don't have enough sats. So
right. Also, I want to apologize. I probably just offended some people who might be Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones fans. I think I just mixed up the memes and the characters in an embarrassing way. But correct me in the comments, shame me in the comments, subscribe to the channel.
Love it. So, U.S. government selling Bitcoin, MicroStrategy stacking Bitcoin. They added another 1,045 Bitcoin to their treasury, as was just announced in a tweet by Michael Saylor. So he announced on April 5th that they stacked another 1,045 coins, averaging price of about $28,000, and they currently hold 140,000 Bitcoin, which is impressive to say the least. He's setting the example.
Won't leave me alone. I don't know what to do about it because I'm over 18 and I haven't been able to sleep for a while.
I gotcha.
Without somebody harassing me.
I'm sorry.
Any advice for me, what to do about it?
I don't know. I'm in a phone call right now,
I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm over 18. What do I do? But I can't get out of
I don't know. Just try to be respectful and communicate with them. But
this is the Sunday Satoshi Live, folks. You never know what's going to happen. Ben might just get approached by a random individual.
Well, I'm sorry. Just, I don't know, take a walk and come back to them in a little while. Hopefully they'll move on. That was interesting, but, that's what I get for...
Welcome to Colorado, Ben.
Enjoying it.
Welcome to Colorado, my friend.
The world is an interesting place, and there's interesting people everywhere,
Indeed. You're one of them, dude. You're one of the more
Honestly,
interesting.
I would... Right. I mean, that guy's kind of interesting. I would probably... hear him out a little more if I wasn't in the middle of something potentially more important.
I would say, dude, I would say talk to him about Bitcoin and bring him on the channel right now if I wasn't afraid that you might get stabbed. So I'm thinking let's not do that.
Right. Well, I'm perfectly capable of stabbing back, but still getting stabbed isn't fun. So I appreciate your concern.
Yeah, that's not the kind of live stream I'm trying to go for today. But
World Star.
World Star. Dude, so 140,000 Bitcoin held by MicroStrategy. I just did the maths real quick because I had to figure it out for myself. But that is I'm sorry, I just had a little brain fart. So that is just under 1%. It is one of every 150 Bitcoins that will ever exist. That's pretty
That's
impressive.
what MicroStrategy currently holds.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yep. So.
Nice.
And,
Yep.
and a lot of people are pissed. A lot of people are pissed that MicroStrategy is stacking so hard because, the whales are gobbling up. This is the thumbnail, is a massive whale gobbling up the Bitcoins, because whales are gobbling up the Bitcoins, but at the same time, you're seeing addresses with you're seeing the smaller addresses actually increase faster than the larger addresses. I could see if I could bring up the graph from that newsletter I referred to earlier again, but the smaller addresses are stacking at a faster rate than the larger addresses are. As far as
it makes sense because the whales.
Why does that make sense, dude? Break it down for us.
I think my computer is about to die. Actually, no, I'm good for a few minutes. But I think that makes a lot of sense because, the whales have probably been, maximalists. They've seen the value of Bitcoin for a while. They've been, leveraging to the max, I'm sure, for years. But I feel like it's really starting to pick up, with people in the middle class, people in the, working class, people at different levels of society. And, those
Why
people, or people like me who might have been like dabbling for, several years in Bitcoin, but hadn't actually leveraged very heavily, are starting to, see the value, understand the scarcity, and, be aware of the halving, as I am in the recent months. And that sense of urgency, I think, causes the smaller people who haven't been, maxing out their acquisition of Bitcoin to try to push it harder and leverage to the max, like the whales have already been doing. So,
interesting take. And
could be wrong. Just that's my logic.
Yeah, and you've had a lot of experience, like talking to your family, your friends, and random people about Bitcoin. It seems like you've ramped up your kind of conviction yourself in the recent months, and especially in the most recent few days. And I think we lost him. I think Ben just pieced out the factory. I think his computer just died, folks. And that's cool because we can just wrap it up. We can wrap it up with how every Apple computer apparently ships with the Bitcoin Whitepaper complimentary of... Oh, Ben's back.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in. Love it. Love it.
All right. We're back. Yeah, I was just going to say, I have been, trying to sling the orange pill super hard. I'm at the bank teller counter. I'm like, casually making a fiat deposit, telling them how I'm going to buy some Bitcoin and, trying to orange pill the poor ladies on either side of the counter next to me.
Buy some Bitcoin.
And, right. She's like, but my bank account is insured. I'm like, yeah, it's insured in the denomination that's going down. And so that was funny. And then I just mic drop, walk away, whatever. But
dude, adjust your camera. Adjust your camera a little bit so your head fits within the frame. Thank you.
Cool.
That's a nice angle.
Yeah, no problem. But whenever I get out this call, I might try to go find that guy that interrupted me earlier, see if I can orange pill him and counsel him on how to interact with the public or whatever.
Yes.
But, Bitcoin for the hood. Not shout out to that guy on Twitter because he's kind of ignorant, but Bitcoin is for everybody. Like you've got some shorts talking about how, there's an opportunity for, the wealth transfer, which has been going in the wrong direction, to completely shift on its head and, bring power back to the common man financially.
Yeah, and in the words of Greg Foss, it's the greatest asymmetric trade that he's ever seen in his 30 plus years sitting in a wrist chair and trading the government Ponzi, which is known as fiat currency. And the bottom line is that the game is rigged against you, folks. The game is rigged against you. So therefore, you got to find a way. If you're playing a losing game, you got to find a way to win. And the way to win is not to play a losing game. So Bitcoin is a game where the people can win. And that's why I believe firmly in it, because you can't corrupt the math, and you can't corrupt what Bitcoin is, which is to say it's outside of political control and it's outside of of being co-opted. So learn about Bitcoin because it's the most important thing in the world as far as the world of money and the world of but it's bigger than money, right? Like I'm going on a tangent, but I just feel very strongly about it. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is designed to, to make everybody win. Maybe it wouldn't feel like, winning if you're like, somebody who's been abusing, to benefit from the expansion of the money supply, from the dilution of the value across the country.
Yeah, Jeff Booth talks about how you're not going to see.
That's just a re-leveling of the playing field, and
it doesn't happen very often. So let's take it all the way back. Let's take it all the way back to 2008.
I can't hear you.
Can you not hear me? Testing.
I couldn't hear you for a moment. You said something, you were talking about something that... Can you hear me, Colby?
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, I just didn't hear you when you were quoting Jeff so-and-so about something.
Yeah, Jeff Booth talks about how if you're looking from the perspective of being within a system, you're not going to see what's going on outside of that system. So the people that are thinking in terms of fiat, and they're only thinking in terms of fiat, they're not going to see the advancement of money, which is Bitcoin. And it's like the taxi drivers in New York didn't see that Uber was coming to break up their monopoly power, and people that invested millions of dollars in their taxi cab tokens so that they could have that taxi cab business in New York, highly regulated environment, etc. It's an example of how those people didn't see how technology was going to come and eat their lunch. And Bitcoin is going to come eat a lot of people's lunch because it's going to replace money, in my opinion. Like, Bitcoin is money, and so the monies that are not good monies are not going to they're not going to stand a chance against Bitcoin as time progresses. And as the Lindy effect and the network effect sets in, Bitcoin becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And we'll see.
Yeah, the government, the banks, the central banks, the corporations that benefit from it, they're used to, the rug getting pulled out from everybody, every couple of years. or every cycle, whatever, however you want to phrase that. But sooner or later they're gonna pull the rug so hard that Bitcoin that they've been trying to sweep under the rug is just going to explode and completely invert the economics and the value of the system, and people who are positioned to benefit from that are going to be in a good place.
We're talking massive change. Massive, massive, massive change. Because it's not often that a new money redefines money. So, buckle your seatbelts.
Right.
And learn more about Bitcoin. I think, in my estimation, I think you should stack some sats. So let's bring it all the way back to the Bitcoin white paper. 2008, an anonymous publisher puts out the white paper online, and let's bring it back to that, because apparently everybody with an Apple computer has the Bitcoin white paper on their hard drive with the latest update ever since 2018 with the Mojave Mac OS. You've got the Bitcoin white paper on your computer, whether or not you downloaded it. So check this out. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and we'll do this together. Hopefully I don't mess it up. And hopefully...
Right on. I need to read the Bitcoin white paper. I've consumed many hours and read many pages, but I've not even read the Bitcoin white paper yet.
It took me a while to read it myself. You most definitely should, but you're not on a Mac, but I am, so I can do this. So I punch in this little command, easy peasy. It's a pretty simple little command, but buried in the hard drive in the virtual scanner there's a PDF that brings up, and I'm going to hit enter. It didn't work for me that time. Didn't work for me. Let me get the right command, because I think I messed it up. And I think Ben just pieced out. But I do want to make sure I get that white paper to pop up before we piece, folks. Before we piece out of this Sunday Satoshi. What wasn't working in that command is like 1//. But yeah, drop your comments below. Let me know whether or not you think... Let me know whether or not you think that it's a good thing that the government is selling Bitcoin. I don't know how anybody could think that's necessarily a bad thing. And also, is it a good thing that the whales are accumulating Bitcoin like MicroStrategy? Is that a good thing?
Colby, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I think you've got a better connection now.
Cool. My phone just overheated is what happened, so I dumped some water on it and jumped up here in the shade.
Dude, you didn't actually dump some water on it.
Yes, I did. It's waterproof. Have a good one.
For real?
Yeah, that's what I do every time it overheats.
Water cooled. It's like an ASIC overheating.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. Should be the fastest way to cool something down. Water has the highest specific heat of almost any substance. So it holds thermal energy better than a lot of things.
So, dude, I'm trying to find this command prompt real quick before we sign off. But before I do, tell me more about like interactions that you've had with people, like whether it's like you're a friend of yours, someone that you met out in public, like anybody, your family. Like, how is it received that when you start talking about Bitcoin with people, Like, tell me one of your more interesting conversations that you've had recently.
Let's see. Well, that Jack Liparini guy that I became good buddies with over the weekend or over the 2 days at that Young Americans for Liberty conference, he was kind enough to let me invite me to sleep on his couch on my way back to Kentucky from Virginia because I was driving through the night, and hanging out with him for an hour at his place before we crashed for the night. I sat there and got technical with him. I showed him how a Bitcoin wallet works. I explained to him the simplicity of the system, like a transaction, a public key plus a private key plus a quantity of Bitcoin equals a transaction. And I've, found that the more educated I am, one, the more stoked I am about and confident I am about the future of Bitcoin and what it can do for us. And two, I get better and better at delivering the orange pill efficiently in a way that is palatable even to people who seem pretty numb and stuck in the matrix in a sense.
Right on.
But yeah, when you explain to people the math, the math of the security, the amount of power that goes in, and what that's doing, you start to get a sense of the true, security and, untouchable, nature of the Bitcoin network.
The digital scarcity.
Right. The decentralization.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And we go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. I find that myself, that the more I learn about it, the more interesting it gets, and just swimming in the Kool-Aid, like, can't get enough. And it definitely is the proof of work aspect of Bitcoin, which puts it all together, and that's what makes it real to me as well. Is the fact that it is real work going into it that can't be faked. You can't fake the proof of work. So I appreciate that point.
We've got value flowing into the network, from the security side, from the, stacking sats side, and the price continues to go up.
Yeah, and it's about more than just fiat derived price. It's about more than just the dollar value. I think it's got a much greater meaning than just
right.
looking at it from the fiat perspective. I think it's about truth. It's about permissionless technology that allows people to freely transact without the government or anyone else staying their hand. So I believe it's the most important freedom technology of our age, but I could go on and on,
yeah.
and on and on, and I'm sure we will on the next one,
right.
folks. Thanks for tuning in, Ben. I appreciate you coming through yet again, and I'm super stoked for that new opportunity that you're up there in Colorado for.
Yeah, thanks for encouraging me and helping make it happen for me. I'm excited. We got sovereign money for the sovereign individuals of the new age, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good note to sign off on, and I appreciate y'all out there. Stack sats, stay humble, peace, love, and Bitcoin. Ben, peace out, my friend.
Talk to you soon. Have a good week.
Ciao for now.
Thanks, everybody.
And I'm using OBS. I actually don't even know how to stop streaming, folks. So it might be a few more minutes. Peace.